This is EnterVoid.com's VCast. EnterVoid is the world's premier comics battling website. It's a place for artists of all skill levels who love comics to hone their skills through competition and collaboration. Check us out at EnterVoid.com. This episode was recorded on November 17th, 2018.
In case of Pita emergency, break glass for tech.
Yeah.
Break glass for tech. Just bring in the boy.
Hello everyone, welcome to another VCast episode. I'm your host Pyrasterran. With me today are ArtsandGoodies.
Hello.
Astrodile.
Bonjour.
And Pita.
Hello.
And this is the second episode of the new revision. Thank you guys for the notes on the last episode. I'll try to implement them for this one. For this episode, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we'll be talking about what ways Void has helped us in our real lives. And I'll start the conversation here with Arts.
Okay, so I wasn't really ever able to do comics before it, or art much at all. I started drawing like 4 years ago, about when I was like 22. I'm 26 now. And basically, Void has helped me do so much more progress. It's a bit harder it's a bit easier to show than it is to explain, but before Void, I tried to do another like comic thing on my own, and I have an art mentor, and I've also like gone to a bunch of Comic Cons, and I've tried other things, basically like some other communities and stuff, and looked around and I still do get advice from artists at conventions. And just side note, the best thing about comic conventions is talking to the artists there. But basically, Void has given me the most progress in terms of art now that I know the fundamentals. Because at 22, I had to learn all the technical stuff of how to draw a circle, how to draw a face, how to draw anything. And then once I could mostly kind of draw that, that's when I got to Void and started doing the comics and started making way more stuff than I could before. And even in the year I've been doing comics for Void, the difference is drastic. And I've just gotten so much better, and I've learned so much. Like, Pyrus, you walked me through shading and just stuff like that. And whenever I've asked a question, someone's always been able to answer it. And I've asked a whole bunch of questions. So Void has been amazing for that and helping me grow.
Mm-hmm. I guess how Void has helped me in real life. Oh my God. I joined when I was 17, and then I'm 18 now. Hey. I guess the way it helped me was just to have a better collaborative experience and to understand the basics and the necessities of storytelling. Because, man, I ain't never tell a story in my life. I ain't never share. I'm kind of shy, y'all. But being a part of Void was a really good experience, getting to know other artists and artists like both in the industry and trying to join the industry, making characters and sharing stories. I find it really motivating to continue my own passion in the arts. I just really like the experience of being a part of this community. And I guess it's helped me in real life by just being a better artist and a social person. Yeah, that's it.
Well, one thing that Void has definitely helped with is giving me fuel or material to work with whenever I want or need to draw. Mm-hmm. There really isn't much to expand upon with that, but some things that I am grateful for when it comes to Void is being able to meet all the different kinds of people that I've been able to interact with these past 2 years. The two Voiders that I've been able to meet in person have been Technicolor and Jackster, and let's see, they're both really great people to hang around with. I talk with Tech like every day. That shows you what kind of relationship we got. Let's see. And I've been able to write with different artists through different levels. Like last year, just to follow up to the collab podcast y'all were talking about last time, like Pyrus, you and I had split a story in half when we were able to do 2 different parts of it. And that was such a unique experience. That's not really something that I was able to do at, say, an OCT or doing an independent project on my own. Projects like that have given me the opportunity to be able to collaborate with other artists, be able to use our skills to complement one another to bring forth a project, and I've been able to pick up different skills from them to help me with drawing actions. Basically, you have to draw the action, draw the movement, not really like the before and then after. You draw the flow right there. With Z, I was able to properly be able to draw their character Gray. Raji, I found out that my inking is really good with his sketches, and we're probably going to talk about that later, and just so on and so forth. Those are the top 3 ideas that went right off the dome. And I'm just petering out.
It's fine. Yeah, well, I've been on this site for almost 10 years now. The amount that I've learned is incredible. Probably the best thing, honestly, that I've gotten from the site is all the people I've met. There's folks here that I'm probably going to consider lifelong friends from this point on.
That's pretty short and sweet. I mean, I just want to mention that sometimes I like to go through the Void archive and read like some of your like oldest comics, like way back when.
Oh god, that's trash.
I also like going through the archives and just also the random comics, seeing older stuff just pop up every now and then.
Yeah, but your development is crazy. I just love reading Arena's story and just kind of rereading all of Miller's story. Because holy shit, that's a lot. There's a lot going on with Miller. I just read through it sometimes, like multiple times. I promise you.
You guys are making me blush.
Yes, good. Make you vulnerable.
Let's go into some of these testimonies. I asked folks on Void to give us some testimonies of how Void has helped them in real life. This one is from Yarn Witch. She writes, Void has helped me grow by giving me a smaller box of goals. When I was just doing art on my own, I could try to compare myself to this artist, that artist, etc. And it was fine but fleeting. Something about Void and its competitive spirit really pushes you to do better in a bunch of crazy ways. The number of people on Void that are active at any given time is a fairly large group, but it's also small enough that you kind of find your bearings. You get feedback from lots of other artists, but also have to carve out your own niche by just being you. This is probably the best growth I've found on the site. I can't just worry about style in both art and writing and try them on like gloves all the time. It's been a real development process so I can stand out from everyone else in my own way. I guess in short, Void's been helping me find my voice.
Yeah, it's really good at that, and the deadlines have been so good at just getting stuff done. Mm-hmm. Even while I was making an intro, it's still, even though there's no deadline for that, it's helped streamline that process, and the community is small enough that there will be people you can ask and who can help you and who will just follow that.
The first part where Yarn was mentioning how they used to, just kind of compare their art to others to feel some sort of validation. That's a fat fucking mood. Fuck yeah. That was me. Like, literally, that's still me. I still I'll look at some people's art and be like, I see. But, being in Void, it gives you a more healthier atmosphere in a way, because they tell you what you need to improve on, how you can do that, and also they give you the compliments and the validation that you want at the same time. So it's kind of like a win-win, So right. I really, this is a cool testimony, Yarn.
That was beautiful.
And that's sexy.
I'm going to move on to Raji's testimony. Raji writes, when I joined Void back in 2015, I was still in art school and I was stagnating, like seriously stagnating. I was becoming more of a watcher than a doer, and it gnawed at me, like snails gnaw at lettuce before I eat them because I'm French. I was a fan of OCTs on DeviantArt, Law of Talos being my favorite, and it was through it that I discovered Void. That and TV tropes. I then spent a month just reading everything, like really everything. Then I decided the best way to start was jump in and don't ask questions. And so Kurt and Polterdot were posted. I tried participating in nearly all the events I could, trying to do as many battles as I could with a single objective, to get good. And get good I did. Making comics all year helps, but measuring myself to others helped even more. On that note, special thanks to Raffle Q, Cracking Skulls, who were the two people who really hooked me on Void, especially after I established the whole old docs gig. I never thought it would become something people would use in their own stories, especially since I'm not the most active community-wise. Lately, I've been busy going pro, so my participation on the site slowed down a bit, but I can honestly say that now I'm more confident than ever in my capabilities to do comics and artwork that will help make my mark, and it's thanks to y'all. The spirit of Void still goes with me. Each of my main three characters shall one day become their own comics.
Yeah, getting good is the why I'm on the site, though I'm nowhere near as good as Raji is yet. But it's so good at getting better. Like, everyone improves. Even just by seeing the comics, you can see everyone's improvements in their archives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first off, Reggie, that snail thing, wow, that got me. But, I know. I love the fact that you mentioned that you found Void through TV tropes, because the amount of people who have told me, like, oh, I found it through TV tropes, I'm like, God damn. Oh, God. It's everywhere.
Void's on TV tropes?
Yeah.
Huh.
But just that last part, just like wanting to you're submitting your characters here, and then eventually they'll have their own comics. Like, I really relate to that. Like, that's why I put Niles there, because I want to make a comic with him eventually. So something about that's really touching. It's relatable. I like it a lot. And also, the old docks is a pretty fucking dope place. Just want to say that.
And also, Raji, whenever you get your books, I want to buy them because I love your style. I'm going to mention it more in the comics since you have a bunch of comics up right now, but I love your style, and I'll buy your books.
It's a really unique style. That the level of detail that Raji does sometimes is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's great stuff, and not many people get to experience what Raji did with forming something that becomes part of the Void canon. That's a testament of the hard work he's put into it. I don't know many people who have worked harder than Raji on Enter Void.
Raji, dude, I feel you right there, because like around when I started for Enter Void, it was around a time like when I had just gotten like a stable job and I finally had the time to make the things. And so like, yeah, I guess that's another thing to add to my already long list of what I'm thankful for Void, is that it helped me develop my art, or to help me get good, as you know, just to quote Raji. And I'm just like, dude, your stuff is just so good. You're going to hear me gush more later on in this podcast, I promise. Just that's all I got to say right now. It's just so good.
All right, so moving on to Astroshan's testimony. Astroshan's one of our oldest members. He writes, "This website has taught me a lot more than just how to draw and write comics. The community here has always felt like a second family to me. I felt somewhat accepted here, even back in 2004, after I first joined, when the atmosphere and people were a lot different. Void has helped me a bunch with my communicating and socializing. I guess I can say that being around all of you here has helped me become more social in person. Through the ups and downs of life, I've always had Enter Void to keep me level. For that, I'm very thankful. Plus, y'all can't get rid of me, even if you tried."
That's super awesome. I didn't know he was around since 2004, but that is super awesome because I've only been here for a year, and it's cool to see all the people who are like legacy people who've been around here for a while, and also when someone like comes back that was like here in like the early 2000s and just comes back, like the artist who was in ATN, AJ. I don't know what all the Japanese letters. Yeah, that. I love seeing his style, but I also love the fact that sometimes just someone will come in who's like was here like 5 or 10 years ago and just do some awesome stuff that is like, and also just seeing all their old stuff is cool.
Yeah. Astro Sean, I'm sorry for taking the first part of your name, but it's mine now.
It's okay.
If you want to fight me, here's my address. Just DM me. But
Just do an artist scar match for it.
You can battle for it, trophy fight.
yeah, exactly. You have to do a trophy match with me for that name. But I haven't really talked to you a lot, Sean. I see you talk with others, and you seem like a super fun fucking dude. I just want to say, so you definitely achieve like being sociable. You're a welcoming member of the community when you pop by, and I love your art. I love your graffiti shit. It's super good. I think it's tasty, and I just look forward to seeing more of your art in general, and seeing more of you having fun in general.
So, Sean, Space Dad, it's really great to hear testimonies because we've got a range of like people who have just started, and then we have someone who is, forgive if this is an offensive term, just very wizened, and is just like I've seen the ages that have happened through this website. I've seen the passing of Kevin, and
I was here.
like yeah, and Sean is definitely a good example of just what kind of a contributor can come forth from the Void experience. Like Best of Void Awards 2016, he won Most Improved Writer. He also created a character that I hope has a happy ending, but we all know Harvey's probably going to explode before he gets that. He also has the Radish Strawberry Dale, and if those are any other characters, I cannot remember off the top of my head, but like he's made characters that are so memorable, and yeah, it's I have no words. I felt like I was going for something and then I missed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Astro Sean has some of the most memorable characters that we have here on Void. It's really a gift. It's very enviable that he's able to come up with these creative ideas, and it's great that Void has been able to help him as far as his social life. I relate with him with seeing Void like a second family. So I'm gonna move on now to the last testimony we have. This one is from Fukudo, and Fukudo writes. Void basically helped me improve a shit ton on my art and exposed to other works or media so that I wouldn't be subject to only one thing like anime. I'm at that point that I'm confident in my work to the point that I'm bold enough to try and get myself out there. Something I never imagined myself doing as I thought my work was massive shit before. I still want to improve my stuff, but at least I have an idea on what I need to work on and how.
That's to the point and super accurate.
Short and sweet.
When did Fu start? Was Fu one of the people who came in during the invitationals? Because I remember the Fool was one of the characters there.
Yes, Fukudo came in with in invitationals.
Yeah, even the starting stuff there was super good because I remember seeing some of that, and that was still really good. And there's something about the inks I love, but then again, I love most people's inks. When they like on Void, it's like, and also being exposed to more other mediums. I agree with that so much more. It's helped. Void has helped a bunch with that.
I know that Fu said that they said that their art was like shit in the past, but like really, I feel like it's good shit. You know, like that grade A shit. And like I know that Arts mentioned that their ink work is like spectacular. I just want to say that their colors and their palettes is fucking crazy. Like, well, if I had a printer, I would print out the art and like eat it because it's so good. Like, I absolutely love your color choices, how you use them. I love the stories that are going on for both of you characters, and also I love what's his name? Ryuto? Was it?
Rudo.
Rudo?
Rudo.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just think that his monster form's pretty cool. I just want to say that too.
that dragon boy.
Yeah, I love dragons. Can't draw them for shit though.
Dude, you could just make anything, say it's a dragon, people will believe you.
Yeah, it'd be the Astro Dragon.
That's the dragon rule.
God.
Dragon rule.
Yeah, good stuff, Fu. Can't wait to see more from you, and I hope you hell yeah, put your shit out there, network, because you really have a unique style, and you should really go for it.
All right, Fu, you had enough guts to challenge Mammon to a double scar match at like the heavyweight defending title. Good on you. So I now have this creeping feeling that if I ever had a rematch with you, you would kick my ass.
Also, that match, that double scar match, both of those sides were really good.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Yeah, Fukudo, your work has improved tremendously while you've been here. I still have all the little doodles that I did that you just grabbed and you decided to touch up and make magical with your lines and your colors. And I hope to see more from you in the future, definitely.
We're definitely gonna see more with this ATN. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hype.
So with that covers up all the testimonies that we have. Everybody listening, thank you all for everything that you've contributed to the Void community. It wouldn't be where it is without all of you involved, including the guests that I have here today.
Oh, certainly. And thank you, Pyrus, for hosting this podcast.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on it and hosting the podcast again, reviving it.
Yeah, thank you for hosting. Thank you, Skulls, for bequeathing him this honor, because I really like listening to this podcast, and here's to many more.
I feel like just like every artist in the Void kind of makes like a little lasting impact in one way or another, because it's fucking crazy the amount of artists I know outside the Void who are like, yeah, I used to be in this community called Enter Void, and I'm like, I'm there. That's me. I'm there.
It's an ever-growing collage.
I haven't had it happen yet, but I go to a bunch of comic conventions, and I want to talk to like because there's a bunch of comic artists there. I want to talk to one of them and find out that they were on Enter Void. It hasn't happened yet, but I look forward to when it does happen.
First thing where I'm trying to recruit people into Void.
I know, me too. I just want to, before we change topics, I just want to mention just like that literally happened to me, where it's just like, went to like a panel, and the artist, I already mentioned this in the Discord, but the artist, the storyboard revisionist, mentioned how she used to be on Enter Void, and I was like, oh, hello, ma'am. Yeah,
that's terrific. And with that, we're going to move on to the comic reviews.
Yay!
We have 2 battles and a Beyond battle. Anyone have any initial thoughts on what we've got so far in the docket?
It's a very interesting docket, at least to say.
It's
right
good
now.
stuff. It's the good stuff.
Yeah, good kush.
Yeah, there's a Beyond battle here. I wonder what we'll hear about it.
Oh, jeez.
From one of the artists.
Oh my.
We're going to start from the top and start with the Dr. Freakinstyle versus Doanna Nut. And here's the comic recap for Mr. Kent's side. In the past, Dr. Freakinstyle walks in on her mad scientist father working on his latest commissioned project, a half-human, half-donut life form designed to sell donuts to kids with bright colors and sex appeal. We're treated to a commercial fever dream of the life form, Doanna Donut, shoving her body and donuts at impressionable youth. Cut to the present day, Doanna is having a rough night at the diner that she works at, with customers harassing her about her old commercials and staring at her like a freak. Doanna takes a smoke break, having texted Dr. Freakinstyle earlier to vent. Freakinstyle drops by on her break to console her father's creation.
I like the commitment to the joke and to page 3, just the whole commercial. I love all of that. That is just great. That whole sequence is great with just that ad. And one thing I was wondering about though, in the diner, the manager guy, is that the scientist? Because the scientist wasn't colored in the second page, and they look similar. Mainly just because it's a dude with glasses.
I think it's a different person.
Yeah. But for some reason I thought it was the same person, which confused me a little bit. But I also do like the end, how Dr. Freakinstyle keeps up and supports Donna after her father's completely exploitive making of her.
Read this read this comic. This is the I was reading this at school. In the middle of class, I'm like, oh my god, am I supposed to be reading this? I don't know. Because by that second page, I was like, oh my god, like I wasn't paying attention to the thumbnail, so I'm just like surprised here. I'm like, oh god, is this PG Astro, PG College? Am I allowed? But I really something about this comic, just like that end part, is like wholesome in a way. Because I really like how they keep in touch, and then how they have a little hug. It's a shame that the rest of the pages aren't colored. I kind of wish they were, but it doesn't take me out from enjoying the whole comic. Yeah, also the cover for that comic, wow, absolutely gorgeous, great work. But yeah, this was a fun comic to read.
No, it's just like the attention to detail to stuff like that is so great, because you're talking about the cover page where Bertley made Doanna Donuts 2 different sizes, where I'm like, yes, you're paying attention to that reference sheet. But, okay, I want to very specifically talk about the ad page, because I think this would be exaggerated as a joke. No, because guess what? In my kitchen, I have a Ziploc bag of Gala apples, and one of the mascots on there is with sexy legs and high heels with brown hair and pigtails, and the speech bubble says, "Keep cool, kids."
Oh my god, hello?
I'm not making this up.
Wow.
Oh, it's not surprising.
And so I'm like, this is real! Yeah, but I guess another thing that definitely had kind of like touched my interest is what it's like to be a form of entertainer and then you live past your use, which is definitely something I want to explore with one of my kids. You know which one.
Yeah.
I look forward to that stuff.
I love that. I love it. And even if it was just like a little bite of what would have been that hypothetical donut, I got to see that.
Yeah, it's a good theme in this comic. And also, I love the titty shots. Just want to say, just throwing that out there.
It's a gay mood.
The world of Entervoid through Kent's eyes has always had this very specific, classic and satirical vision. It's something that is prevalent in most of his comics, and it's presented very strongly here as well. Anytime
I like the humor.
Anytime he goes goes hard on the satire with these commercials, with commercialism in general, with the mundanity of creating a genetic hybrid monstrosity just to sell donuts. I'm all about that kind of stuff. I do wish there was a little more in this comic. It's very front heavy, and it sort of ends a little too quickly for my tastes. It's possible that there may have been more, since it's not a completed comic. There may have been more pages that would have been coming around. But for what it is, it's nice, and for the message that it tells, it tells it strongly.
Yeah, I like that satirical humor, and since I've started reading more of his stuff, I've been noticing that, and I like that humor and want to try that type of humor at some point with just the satirical absurdness.
Yeah. So moving on from that, we're going to go to MRPR's 1993's side, and here is the recap. Doanna Nut is serving Dr. Freakinstyle and her latest patchwork boyfriend experiment. When she drops her guard, she's drugged and wakes up in Freakinstyle's spooky lair. Freakinstyles plans to study Doanna to find a way to weaponize the Donut Woman's genetic attributes for her boyfriend experiments. Left alone temporarily, Doanna uses her vast and varied commercial experience to escape from her bonds and make a run for freedom, only to end up bumping into Freakinstyle's boyfriend and getting tied up once again. Doanna attempts to escape multiple times, only to be thwarted each and every time, getting beaten up more and more with each failure. Eventually, Doanna is too weak to keep trying to escape, but by this time, Freakinstyle's research had completed. Finding Doanna's attributes to be inadequate for her experiments, Doanna is kicked out, finally free.
I enjoyed this joke a lot where she just had all this commercial experience to escape from these, and also the idea of a donut lady being in a secret agent commercial. I kind of want to see that commercial now. I really like that, the just repeated joke, because it didn't overstay its welcome for me. If I had to crit one thing, I do wish there was more establishing shot, like particularly in page 6, the first panel. It would have been nice if that was like a more zoomed out one to show the location, or just a good location of the same lair she keeps getting locked back into and then escaping.
So I'll agree with Arts. I really like this joke going on here that she's like, oh, thank God I did this commercial. Now I can bust out this shit. And then again and again and again. I really like the gist of that. I think it's funny. I guess my first sort of thing to say is just pull out the camera. Definitely pull out the camera a lot more so that we can actually observe the environment that she's in. The poses can get a bit staticky. Considering the humor that's going on here, I feel like they could really just be stretched out more, especially considering how Doanna herself is sort of taking this cartoony take to being tied up and like locked in over and over again, like with that whole comedic gist. And also the lining for the borders of each panel. I would personally prefer, like, you don't have to take my advice, but I would personally prefer if just a regular line tool was used for that, just so that it doesn't look rushed or anything like that. And there's just some problems with the fill-ins where some parts were still white when they should have been filled in and gray and all that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think this is a good comic. Like, this is like the recent comics that you've made, Mr. Piot. This is certainly my favorite, and I really like the way you draw Dr. Freakinstyle. She looks really cute, and of course, I love Doanna Nut. She's really cuter. And yeah, good stuff.
I do like the kind of inking that you were doing with. It's kind of similar to how you were doing I guess my opinion of it is very similar to the approach you were doing with Vitrua, where everything was kind of pixelated there. But here things look a little more organic in the inking, probably because it's like a little more scratchy. And I like that. It's definitely a breakaway from some of the stuff I've seen before in the past, where it's like very thin lines, where like everything was thin lines.
Right, there's more line width here.
I like that difference. I do agree that you do need to pull back on the camera sometimes. Part of it is that if you don't, it creates sort of like this monotonous mid-camera, which is a criticism that I receive many times with the things that I've made. So I'm trying to break away from that too. It's a struggle. I know.
I have
you gotta
the same
get creative
struggle.
Sometimes. it's you gotta get creative sometimes, but I also really like the convenience of all this knowledge she has from doing commercials. And I know it sounds very silly. Like a donut as a secret agent. Look, if Esurance if Esurance had a secret agent as their mascot, it's completely plausible that it could happen for a donut. And I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. I think as far as stories and writing, I think this is one of your most entertaining comics. It seems like at the expense, though, of the story, the art has sacrificed a bit. It's not your best visually, even though what you're doing with the lines is better. There's a lot of times where the backgrounds is just gray splotches, and it's used over and over and over again. Makes everything feel a little dull. Then there's also the moments like they said where you missed a few spots when filling stuff in. Having everybody white, I'm assuming there was some time crunch that they had to deal with, that you couldn't completely finish it. And I would say to listen to what the folks have said about pulling the camera out as well. Those are my words on it.
Okay, I just want to mention one more thing. Hold on.
Sure.
I'm reading through each of the comics as we talk. My favorite panel has to be the last panel on page 5. Like when I first read that got like a smile at me because she looks so silly. I love her weird little face there. But
Yeah,
Also,
there's a lot of experimenting with different faces that he does in this comic.
yeah, I
Much
love
appreciated.
yeah, I like that, and I also like the ending, the resolution where she just kicks her out,
it.
and then she's just like, it just feels like,
Yeah,
Frida.
her entire efforts were basically for naught.
Yeah.
One of the little nuggets that I like is just the spontaneous Spanish. It was like para libertad or something like that.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
And I'm just like, of course. That just it fits.
Yeah, there's some great gags in here. So I think with that, we're going to move on to our next battle.
Yes.
And this one is titled Dirty Business, Smee and Lee versus the Abominable Dr. Hoang. And we're going to start with Raji's side. Here's the comic recap. Smee and Lee, acidic slime twins, have grown large enough to form a new young adult-sized body, and now work as janitors in waste management. Smee and Lee arrive at the Abominable Dr. Hoang's residence to perform their routine cleaning of the premises. However, Hoang's nowhere to be found, running late from a meeting. Smee and Lee nonetheless get to work, cleaning out garbage and scrubbing the floors clean, but also handling some of Hoang's cursed artifacts in the process. Hoang returns home to find the slime scrubbing down a Taiwanese fungi orb. Hoang flips out, but it's too late. The orb's curse causes Smee and Lee to explode, covering the once clean room with slime. As Smee and Lee slowly reconstitute themselves, Hoang dismisses them for the day.
I love Raji's style. I love it. I love all the comics. He does such good quality. Also, for this battle, I'm going to go by Dr. Hoang's first name, Yvonne, because I love that name. And I like the way Raji draws Yvonne. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong, but whatever. I still like that name.
I think it's Yvonne.
Yvonne. Well, the way Raji draws Yvonne is really cool. And also, I like on the final page just their reaction to being blown up and exploding. Just her little half sad face, half bubbling, ready to explode face. Yeah, it's a short 3-page comic, but I really like it.
This comic, gosh, the way you, Raji, drew Dr. Hoang, like I love Dr. Hoang, and so the way you drew Dr. Hoang, saying that name within one sentence 5 times, wow, it's really cute. Like, really makes me feel things. I'm feeling a lot of things for this character, but this comic is really cute. It lets me get. I love the slime kids. It's so cute. Look at them with their hair and the blowing up and the oh no, I blew up. This is a really simple, really good comic within the time that it's been done. One problem I have with it is in the last page. I didn't notice until now. Like, I'm reading it right now. Didn't notice until now that the third to last page was actually had line art in it. Like, I didn't, like, because of the effects and that splash, like, because the effects are so dominating in that panel, I didn't actually notice that there was Yvonne and the scene of the explosion itself that was happening.
Right.
So it's just something I didn't notice until actually getting a better look. And that's about it.
Maybe if the like splash, like the actual goo stuff was lit up in that.
Yeah, I just
Because
feel
I like the composition and idea of it. Maybe if it was lit up, that would make it work more.
Like, I feel like the splash brush, the splatter brush that he used, I feel like it wasn't really necessary for that panel because the splashing itself is already drawn in. So I just would like to at least have it be less dark so I could tell what was going on.
So Raji's entry is short and sweet, and I like the little things in it, like at the beginning where like Smiley is just like, oh, it's a mess, all right, and instead of like having like a pack of cigarettes, she has a pack of AA batteries. It's just like slurping on one of them.
Yeah.
I like how Dr. Kwan is just in this perpetual blep look. Like her tongue is just out just a little bit. And I don't know if that, I cannot remember if that's part of her reference or not. But even so, it's just the perpetual, just little bleh that makes her a little less threatening. But an aside that I realized, Dr. Hoang could have told them there are some artifacts here that you need to handle very carefully. But considering that, like, part of the side effect of her transformation is she's much more apathetic to people, she probably just dared to tell her about this. And so, whether or not that was intentional, I was like, hey, character observation, it's nice.
I didn't notice the little blep, but I like that.
The perpetual blep.
Yeah, there's a lot in this comic, Raji, that feels like a culmination of stuff that you've learned in Void. The wash that you use is used pretty effectively, in my opinion. Every page, every panel looks great. There's details everywhere. There's tons of stuff filling each part of the panels. It's a great job, and for 3 pages to be able to tell this whole complete little story here speaks volumes of how far you've progressed.
Certainly. Just noticed that the pizza on the first page says Doc's Pizza. Nice reference to the old Doc's, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like that, yeah.
There's a thing that says Taco Grease.
Oh, there is. It looks next to the pizza. It looks like a Dragon Ball, basically.
Yeah, I see it.
But there is.
We're just catching all the references right now.
Oh, yeah. No, that's now a challenge. People of Void, go through this comic, see how many Easter eggs you can find.
No, that's excellent stuff there, Raji. Congratulations, bravo.
Yay.
I agree that this third to last panel probably would have been just fine with the actual illustration inside it, or at least show more of it so that it doesn't get lost in the splash. Other than that, though, this one looks great. We're gonna move on now to the other side of the battle with Croibas. I think that's how you pronounce it. And here comes the recap. The abominable Dr. Hoang is taking her usual trip to the local dump in search of cursed artifacts. At the same time, Smee and Lee are collecting bottles and cans they find around the dumping grounds for recycling money. Hoang's curse-sensitive abilities detect a curse coming from a tin can of old carrots, which Smee and Lee have collected for themselves. Hoang scuttles after the slime kids and takes the can from them. Outraged, the slimes douse Hoang in an acidic bath which, to their surprise, has no effect on the abominable being. Back in the office, Hoang inspects the can she's confiscated, only to find that the cursed aura she felt before is gone. She comes to the conclusion that the aura may not have been coming from the can at all, but instead from Smee and Lee themselves.
The colors in this are definitely a step up from your previous comics, Croiba, however it's pronounced. Yeah, the comic, and in particular, Smee and Lee, they look really fluid compared to they're your most fluid characters you've done so far, I feel. Probably partially because they're literally made of liquids, but still, I like the way you drew them in this. And also, the writing and the jokes, I still find them funny. As well as the end part with the curse. That was a lot more serious than what you normally have for your writing, and I like that change of pace. Although I'm not sure what the last line they're saying means. What Smee and Lee are talking about.
It's a reference to the phrase that Hoang tried to say earlier but failed to land about one man's trash being another man's treasure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the punchline for that.
Damn, making the connections for us. Thanks, Pirates.
Nice. Oh, also, I just realized, looking at it, there's on page 5, the second panel, there's a word bubble that's not whited out, so I didn't notice it at first. Yeah, but overall, I really liked it. This was definitely a step up and a nice improvement, especially in the color department. I like the colors you were doing here.
Croiba, Reese, Reese. I like this comic. I really do like this comic. I think this is, well, I was about to say this is my favorite of Yvonne's, but this is like one of the few comics Yvonne has. I'm reading through it right now. I already said that like 5 times, don't mind me. But one of the issues I noticed is that the back background environment seems to be changing inconsistently. Since the pile of garbage, we don't really know where. I guess it's just confusing in a way because the environments are just shifting and there's not much indication, at least on the first read, of how they change. Like when Yvonne is looking at a different angle or running at a certain direction that would call for a change in the background buildings and all that. And page 3, middle 2 panel, the buildings get closer to one of the slime girls, even though she's technically still in the same placement. The colors here were good. I really thought they were nice and warm. I'm interested in why you censored Yvonne. Like, what's the censoring of the curse word for? Let Yvonne say fuck. I'm just saying. I want to say fuck. Okay, but I enjoyed this comic. You know that I love Yvonne. You know that I feel things. Also, that last, as Art said, and as Pyrus made the connection, I got confused on that last part until now. And that's all I've got to say.
So Crow, Reese, whatever you prefer to be called these days. Impressed with like the amount of content that you were able to make in this amount of time. 5 pages that are inked and colored with their own very specially made background to border the pages in about 5 weeks is commendable. Thing that I do want to point out, it's strictly like a technical thing, is inking. It looks like some of it has some search lines going on, or I don't know what the best way to describe this is, but it's like you're doing multiple strokes on parts of things that could be accomplished in a single stroke. And that's something that you're going to be able to achieve with practice, because I've had to practice that a lot. I think that would be able to help with the fluidity of your characters so that they may look a little less stiff. And just also study some movements. The one legit critique that I have this whole podcast. Oh gosh. At the bottom where Dr. Hoang is like, hey, give me that can. It's cursed for some reason. Why would someone curse a can? The way that she's moving, it kind of looks like she's kind of like shuffling down the trash, which is also fine. But I would also recommend if you're going to capture movement, something that I would really recommend is looking at animation breakdowns of movement, specifically walk cycles and run cycles. If you're able to capture one of those frames in a person, it looks like they are walking convincingly, because animators have had that down to a science.
That's good. I want that advice. Can you hook me up with some animation breakdown stuff later?
Dude, you can look that up on Google. It's that easy.
Yeah, that is good to know.
The resources available are endless out there right now. Croiba, I feel like there's some good stuff here, and then there's some, in terms of writing, some weak stuff for you. Because when it comes to writers, I think you're one of the sharper ones that we have. You try really hard to sharpen your script, sharpen your gags and your jokes. First thing I'm going to say is that having these borders, I don't know if it's just me. Is it really white to you guys? The borders that he usually has?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the borders. I thought they were just gone, but now that I'm looking at it.
They're really they're very light orange and very light pink. Yeah, it's the same border that they've always used.
Right. I would say
I didn't even realize that.
I would say either have them their full color display or don't have them.
I thought they were gone.
Because here it just looks like a
whoops,
like an error that was made. And I know that some people don't like your borders. I kind of like them.
I'm fine with them.
Yeah. I like the borders myself. It'd be nice if you made several for different themes, but other than that, I think they're fine. If you don't want to use them anymore, then just don't have them at all, rather than having this sort of half and half scenario. Going back to the story, as you saw, some folks had trouble figuring out the punchline for that one joke that you had there, and I think the way you delivered it sort of stumbled in the exact same way that Hoang stumbled with the phrasing herself. The one thing, and you know this because I had to come and ask you what the ending meant, because I wasn't sure what was going on with the curse and why it wasn't, and what happened with the can and where the curse effect was actually coming from. In a situation like this, you want there's to be clues in the comic for the reader to be able to go back and notice what they didn't notice before, which in this
I
case is supposed to be
thought
the twist that
that
Smee and Lee are the ones that are actually cursed in some way.
I thought that was like I picked up on that, and the way I picked up on that is it's a little noticeable. Partially because it goes back to them, so I figured the curse was on them, but also on the page 2 where it shows the curso vision, it's not just coming from the can; it's also coming from their arm. So when I went back and noticed, that the little curse was also coming off their arm.
There's a little aura coming off, one of the Smee's arms. But if the curse is something that they're applying to objects around them, then since we have this curse vision here as well, and since we're giving this information, by that logic, other things that they're touching should also have that curse aura on them. And
That's true.
And by that,
Yeah.
and by that same token, I assume that Dr. Hoang herself would be able to notice that they have a curse aura coming off of them when she gets close enough.
Yeah.
So I think that twist needed some more time to cook to make sure that all the pieces worked perfectly logically, and that can be tough when you try to make a twist in a comic. I think this one needed a little more time in that regard. Art-wise, I would listen to what everyone else said because I think they were spot on with that stuff.
Also, fight me, Crow.
Oh dang! Is this gonna be a monster off? Are we gonna?
Please.
Are we gonna?
I've only had one monster off.
We need to have a monster royale with all monster characters.
Okay, but like, here's the
Wasn't
question:
there already a monster mash?
Who would Dr. Hoang fight? Would it be Niles? Would it be Ash? Would it be some I don't know about yet? Astro, are you hiding something from me?
It's my secret fusion, Nash.
Oh my god! Ah! Nash with a silent G.
Astro's characters with Hoang, with Heretic, and the rest of our monster crew. That would be a good fight.
Please, I want to fight all the monsters.
All the monsters.
Look, any monsters I have would be fighting you. What I'm saying is they would kiss. Just let it be a thing, please. Can they just go out, please?
I don't have monsters. I just have furries, which I guess some people consider monsters.
Well, you have one furry who's a monster.
He just has a hobby of turning corpses into dolls. Nothing wrong with that when you're in that position of power.
Okay.
Fucking crucify me.
We've reached our last comic. This is a Beyond Battle collaboration between Raji and Pita with the characters Zoey and Zita. It's called The Thread of Fate. And here is the comic recap. Deep in the mountainous region of the underworld, two souls are looking for a way to the realm of the living. Zoey, the chicken-like imaginary figment and guild adventurer, guided by Dolly, her furry guardian angel. They come across a bramble of old trees and deep within a home, where Zita the ragdoll resides, stitching together clothes, furniture, and toys from any fabric she can find. Invited inside, the visitors recount their tale to Zita, and that they are headed to the Howling Chasm. Zita, clearly disturbed, describes to them the Howling Chasm as a dreaded place where the screams of the damned can be heard. She warns them of an evil curse in that chasm that seeps into the minds of passersby. Zita changes the subject by offering to sew new clothing for Zoey. As she is measured, Dolly and Zita question Zoey's need to return to the living world against her fate. While Zoey and Dolly are helping Zita bring in the dry laundry hanging from outside, Zoey reveals to Dolly that her adoptive father, the same who introduced her to her Adventurers Guild, is her true reason for wanting to return to the world. With Zoey's new outfit finished, things take a dark turn when Zita threatens to keep them with her, just as the curse of the chasm holds Zita. But Zita is no match for Dolly's angel magic. Taking pity on the ragdoll, Zoey begs Dolly to save her soul. With her magic, the angel banishes the curse from Zita's body, her black hair bleached as evil is removed from her. In thanks for what they've done for her, Zita gives Zoey extra cloth and garments for their travels. As Zoey and Dolly prepare to head for the Howling Chasm, Zita is finally able to leave the Bramble and return to her family at the mountain summit.
I already wrote a crit on it. I wrote my crit for it, but I really like this comic a lot. And I love the inks. I love your inks. They're so good. They're just... I can gush about it. And I also love the monochrome style that Raji did in this and in the other comic. I love limited colors. It is such an awesome thing that comics do. And when comics do it, it's just so good. I love it. One minor grammar thing I noticed on page 8 when I got lost from my girl. I imagine that was supposed to be Guild.
No, girl.
Oh, girl. Okay, then I guess I was not paying attention.
Zoe's an imaginary friend.
Oh.
So she has a girl that she had lost.
Okay, I just don't know the full Zoey lore then.
I think we had some of that revealed in the Deadwood story.
Yes.
Because I remember the Guild stuff. Mm-hmm. So I thought you meant Guild, but that was just me not remembering all the lore, which I guess mentioning, since you talked about it before, but putting a little, maybe putting a little quick summary page or a summary thing might help as well, so people can remember all this stuff. And final thing, the bottom 3 panels of page 8, I love it. I love the foreshadowing for stuff there, just with Dolly's reactions. It's so good.
This comic was really, really good. I almost have little to nothing to say about it. In terms of writing, I enjoyed it. Of course, the others said that there would some reference to the previous, what happened previously would be appreciated, and I do agree with that. But a part of me is also Zoe's entire archive is just dedicated to this entire this storyline. There's no other comics that really peter off from it, so I almost feel not a summary of what's happened and what's happened before for each future comic for Zoey isn't really necessary. As others have said, pulling back the camera sometimes would have been nice, but it's not much of a problem here, I find. I really feel for the last 2 pages when Zita is, her hair is bleached and all that, I almost sort of wish that there was a change in the color scheme that would have made it more positive correlating, because I do like the brownish look, but throughout the comic, I take this brownish look as a more negative connotation of things are bleak right now until the bleaching part. I wish it had a more warmer look, something more brighter to indicate that something good has happened visually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was an opportunity here from pages 13 onward to change the color temperature basically of your comic into something a little more hopeful. I agree with that part of what Astro said. Overall, this is a great comic. You guys really played to each other's strengths visually. There isn't a lot for me to say. A lot of this is just really good. It's well told. The pacing is good for the kind of story that it is. I think the stakes are a little low, with Zita not really being that threatening when it comes down to it. There's a lot of foreshadowing and a lot of build up to Zita being dangerous. So for her to be taken out in, I think it's basically one panel, is a little underwhelming. I agree with the suggestion to add something in the front, not because it's particularly necessary. I mean, as far as your entire comics collection goes, like Asher said, if you read the Zoey comics, they're extremely consistent and extremely cohesive altogether. But you don't pull out a lot of Zoey comics at a time. You're usually just pulling them out once a year. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to just jump right into the comic. And in situations like those, it definitely helps to have a little on the last episode sort of thing preview in the beginning. it'll also interest some people to look back who haven't seen your previous comics to look back at the previous stuff as well. Give them a hint of the kind of cool stuff they've been missing out on.
Creepy babies and stuff.
Yeah. Creepy babies and dead things, etc.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, this is a bit. This was a really very well put together comic. I can see this being published. Honestly, really good stuff, and I hope to see more from you. Hopefully, hopefully more than just in October.
Yeah, you do have the other battles coming up, right?
Currently, I'm doing a collaboration with Sabu called The Pale Horse. After that is intended to be a battle with Yarn. And then after that, I want to finish up this little mini arc with Camel. And I really am appreciative of people that and want to read it, and people who vote and comment. Like, that's all. I really appreciate all that, because it, like, Zoey's one of those characters that really drives me to want to tell a story. If you know the background behind the character's inception, she's a very personal and sentimental character for me, and I want to be able to write something that does her justice. Is actually something that I'd been working on for about 1.5 years, just building it up and trying to find the right time to do it. And at first I wanted to get it done by the end of last year, but there just was not enough time or energy to really do that right. So Thread of Fate is hinting at something. Like, once I reveal it, when you go, and I kind of have to recontextualize where I'm coming from, because this is my decision when it comes to being on Void, is that if to take some elements that have already been established in Void canon or stuff that people have already done, and I ask permission, or expand on that or reach a conclusion to it. And so what I will say for this is that Zoey is going to meet something. Thing is going to have a redemption arc. That's something that I wanted to do. I really hope that I do this well.
You've been doing real well so far, like super well.
Yeah, your writing of these stories has been on point.
So, one last thing I want to add. The success of this comic is not all entirely on me. I have to give major kudos to Raji, because he sketched out the whole thing. He colored it. When we were talking on Discord, he would just sometimes just be like, "I am dying," and I'm like, "I feel you, man." And it's like so Raji doing that, and then doing a third battle. I'm firm in the belief that Raji is indeed a force to be reckoned with. I'm kind of scared if I ever have to fight him.
Raji is ready, this is professional level stuff Raji's doing, and when Raji gets books, when they get translated to English, because I'm assuming they're probably going to be in French first, when they get English, I'm going to buy that.
Raji has helped me with this more than you know.
I'm hyped. Can't wait to see more.
Yeah, the real benefit you get from these collaborations is getting to fully complete the vision you had.
When I come home, I mean, yes, I can do comics, but the process in which I tackle them by myself, it takes longer than what is like Void creditable. Like, you've seen the stuff I've done by myself. A lot of the times it's unfinished, and part of that is me needing to retool my process.
We've all been there.
Everyone that I've worked with in the past, people that I'm currently working with, and people I'll work with in the future, I will say thank you so much for get this little girl's story get told.
And with that, thanks, we have wrapped up today's episode.
Yay!
I want to thank.
Thanks for having us here.
I want to thank my guests here. Arts and Goodies, where can we find you online?
Arts and Goodies is my Instagram, my Twitter, and Tumblr, though it's pretty much the Instagram that cross posts to both of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on all of those.
Astro?
Hey gamers, Astro needs your followers. You can find me on Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram. I go by Astrodile on each of those, except for Twitter, because someone stole my handle, so I had to put a 0 in Astro. So it's all Astrodile. Remember to fight me. I'm always waiting for someone to fight me. And yeah, that's about it.
You got that thirst.
The bloodlust.
Yeah, I want to kill a man.
Oh gosh.
Pita?
Okay. Well, you can find me on Intervoid. Twitter called Pita Peeps. That's PITAPEEPS. And DeviantArt, I'm Pita Fish. FISH.
All right, and with that, thank you guys again. Thanks to all of you listening at home, and have a great day.
Yeah, bye-bye. Have a good time, y'all. I'll see you on the battlefield.